Do you want to learn the secrets of trading? The truth is, too many investors know the struggles of trading. Now let's find out what worked and what didn't with their personality, as these successful investors share their trading journey with us. How we doing, traders, and welcome to a trader's journey here. Special hosting Mitch here, and I got the one and only Kenny Glick hit the bid here, the warlock, the prophet of profit, the one and only. How you doing, Kenny?
All right. Thanks for having me, man. What's going on?
Hey, it's great to have somebody with some expertise in day trading, and we always want to hear how you got to your success. And there's many roads to success. So, like always, guys, if you guys go ahead and hit the like and hit the subscribe down below, this is why we do this. We do this really to talk about the journey to success, and that there's many different roads. So let's go ahead and let's start finding about your road, Kenny. So, how did you get started in trading? Did it come from a finance background?
No, I was a television radio major. I went to school to produce television programming and acting, and I was doing stand-up comedy. And long story short, I was doing comedy one time, and somebody approached me at a show, and I'm thinking he might be an agent or somebody. Maybe, this is my big break. Turned out to be a stockbroker. He's like, "Hey, you're a funny guy. I heard you don't have any money. You're still living with your mom." I was like, he's like, "You come out, check out our firm. We'll teach you how to, to get on the phone and convince people to buy stocks with your sense of humor. You'll probably be good at it." And there I was driving out to Long Island, and right there in the boiler room, the whole thing. And I knew right away I wasn't fitting in because, again, I didn't know too much about the industry on that side of the industry. I knew about the market because I've always been interested since grade school. And I jumped around from boiler room because every time I would be at one place, I was pretty miserable because I didn't really want to be selling stocks. And once I realized how shady it was, that's when I kind of was going to walk away from the industry. Lo and behold, SOs started coming into play, small oral execution, and the SOs bandits. And I had a friend in my fraternity who I was telling about my plight into the industry and how disgruntled and discouraged I was, after taking my Series 7 and going through all this stuff. And I was really just like, you know what? This isn't for me. And he's like, "Nah, there's a new thing that's going on now that you could trade your own account with direct access like we've never had before." And I came by, I checked it out, saw what was going on, and I was like, "Wow, this is pretty cool." Back then you had to still call your order out to an inputter, which was kind of cool because we had our own little pit. So you'd say, "Load to buy, Cisco, 1,000 shares, execute," and then they would tell you if you got your trade, and then you would tell them, "All right, offer out." And it was kind of like you would run. It was kind of like a little, a mini floor. But then within about a couple of months after that, we were able to do it ourselves. And then, I had a knack for it, and started trading pretty well. And then it was 1999, and everything was going up every day. And because I had some knowledge of the market, I didn't really embrace that .com for as much as I should have because I was very skeptical, and I did do well when it did crash. So that's like, that year, 2000, I was getting beat up for a while because I was always a fan of shorting, and, almost lost it all. But then February came along and we started getting smacked, and I was crushing all those, B2B stocks. I don't know if you remember those CMGIs and all the Commerce Ones and all that crap.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell that you had kind of the eye-opening experience seeing those boiler rooms, and then you found your niche. You found what worked for you. A lot of traders are out there trying to trade for themselves, and also a lot of people that are in the finance industry realize that they probably don't want to manage money. And
Right.
trading for yourself usually is the way they go out about it. So, how long have you been a full-time day trader? And is there any kind of new tips that you would recommend to the beginner trader?
It's been a while. I really kind of am the grandfather of the industry. I was actually the poster child for the industry for a while because back when we first got started, anybody could plop money down in an account and go to work. A couple of sad situations that happened that, somebody blew their account up, showed up at one of these firms and started shooting people. And then we were shown in a bad light, like we were a bunch of gamblers that were, psychopathic and ready to snap at any time, which is kind of true. But I had to defend the nation of day traders. So I was on 2020, I was on 48 hours, and they always try to show us in a bad light. And I tried to defend us by saying, we're just trying to figure out what the market's going to do on a 10, 20-minute basis. And I think I've got a better shot on telling you where the stock's going to end up at the end of the day than anybody can tell me where stock's going to be 3 to 6 or 9 or 2 years from now, because it's staring me right in the face. I can see what's happening. Once you start becoming an investor, now you're dealing with earnings and corporations and CEOs and corruption and political unrest and a million things that could go wrong. And, they tried to make us look so bad. But for me, I think that day traders have more of an advantage, especially if you have something that works. So to the second part of that question is, how, what can I offer an advice is that find something that works and stick with it and don't stray from the path. Have something that works for you to be your main moneymaker, and then branch off from there. But finding that one thing is the difficult part of trading. And, if you can do that, everything for me branches out of the day trade. So if I have a good day trade, it becomes the swing trade. Obviously, most swing traders are day traders that have done something wrong. Well, this ain't working. I guess it's a swing trade. And then when the swing trade doesn't work, well, I guess I'm an investor in this company I have no knowledge of. And next thing you know, it's 6 months later, and what started as $100 loss on some day trade, next thing you know, you're down $3,000, and you're like, why do I own this? And you don't even remember how it all got started.
Come that bag holder real quick.
Oh, yeah. So, find what works for you and just really milk that as much as you possibly can, and then slowly branch out from there. A lot of people, I hear a lot of people go right to options, which is completely insane, because you need to know what the underlying security is doing before you jump into a derivative. But a lot of people in this industry, especially nowadays with all the access and your Robin Hoods and all this stuff, people are going right to options and they're blowing themselves up before they even gave themselves a chance. It's kind of crazy.
You hear it all the time, and that's definitely one of the best lessons that you hear. Is at the end of the day, you got to find what works and matches your personality. So one of the things that I always see in trading is that there's waves. So tell us about a time that you got kind of stuck in a rut and how you worked your way out of that.
Great question, man. I call it a spirit walk. I had to go on 3 spirit walks, actually. Like I said, when I first got started, I kind of had what's it called? Affinity for it. I had a knack for trading because I kind of knew the ebb and flow of the market already. It was a little bit easier because 1999, it was basically the market would open up, it would try to sell off, you'd break the high of the day, and then you'd go straight up all day. So it was kind of easy. I was doing really well for myself, and then I started getting into this whole gambling mentality. And I was starting the transition into options really kind of, when I tried to trade options only and started leaving the stock alone, I started becoming more of a gambler. And then I got into, I was on tilt. If you guys play poker, you know how that is. You get on tilt, you start playing the hand wrong. So instead of me easing back, I kept pushing. And it got worse and worse and worse. Just like a degenerate gambler, you try to win your money back. That's what Monday Night Football is all about. You have a bad Sunday, you try to win it all back on Monday. It usually doesn't work. So that gambling mentality got me into trouble because I didn't want to give up. But what I learned was that what I was doing in general was just a bad idea. Buying options, going into earnings reports is the dumbest thing you could possibly do in trading. You're paying an inflated price on an option, so you have to get at least a 20 or 30% move after the fact that you need to guess which way the stock's going to go when they report. So you're a two-time loser even before the trade gets started. And that's all I was doing. And I was hemorrhaging cash. I would hit one and I'd be like, oh man, that was easy. Let me try it here. Let me try it there. And I was just getting hammered. And it was just ridiculous. So what I did was I was like, you know what? Let me refresh. I used to go into the city. I would, I'd go into the office. I'd just say hello to my friends. And I'm like, you know what? I'll see you guys at 4 o'clock. And I would just roam the streets like a lunatic. I grew a beard as best as I could. I don't really grow hair well. Look at you with your nice beard. I mean, I grew a beard. I just roamed the streets of Manhattan. I'd go visit my friends. They're like, don't you have a job? I'm like, yeah, sort of, kind of in between things right now. And I gave it like about a month and a half, just wandering around, just, just letting it go. And then I went back and I was like, let's do what worked back when everything was clicking. And then I went on a crazy run and then I was back. And, again, I had to take that moment to myself. And it really was, all these years later, because I'm talking about, I had a couple of so I got started like really trading 98, 99, almost blew up in 2002 because, again, after 9/11, I was thinking the market was going to rally. I was wrong a bunch of times. 2003, my kid was born. And I was just re-energized and I went back to what was working and everything started clicking. And then again, when the market crashed, which was awesome for me because I'm a shorter, I love shorting stocks, I got a little bit greedy on the downside thinking that, all right, we're never coming back. This bull market's over. So in 2012, I just was fighting the world. The government took the market over in '08 and I thought I saw something in 2012 that I saw this massive top forming and I went nuts. I went crazy short and man, I almost lost everything I made in one trade that I made in 3 or 4 years. So I had to check myself. And then right there, I was like, you know what? Let me analyze what the hell just came over me. Why would I do that? I traded a position, if I'm trading X, I went 20X on this trade. And again, I went on tilt. Had to check myself, step back. I'm like, all right, why did I do that? You can't get that emotional. You can't let yourself feed the bad trade. You don't put good money into a bad thing. And, step back again, did my spirit walk, took a couple of weeks off. Boom. I promised I would never go short the market ever again. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy the Qs. The government owns the market. And I've been in the QQQ ever since. So that's been a pretty good trade since 2013.
Hey, like always, you can't feed the wolf. You feed the wolf, and the wolf bites. That's just how it goes. I think this dovetails perfectly into the next question, and it's why do you think you became successful? When many traders just struggle to be consistent.
Well, it was kind of like all the battle wounds that I made it through. I really got beat up 3 or 4 different times, and those learning experiences I really took to heart. And I started going right back to what was working. And then coincidentally, about 6 or 7 years ago, I found a couple of guys. I started doing my chat room, and again, my chat room on the onset of my chat room was not about me coaching other people. I just wanted to be around other people for those days when I'm miserable. I need to express how angry and miserable I am. Because if you hold that inside, you're going to die. So it was like therapy for me. So people were learning about some of my bad trades and they were learning what not to do. And it was therapy for me because I was getting out all my emotions and just puking it out onto people. And I was like, listen, you want to hang with me? You're going to have to deal with my half hour of crying and moping and tearing down myself. And they were learning from that experience. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm onto something here. I'll teach people what not to do. And we'll find 1 or 2 things that do work. The rest of it's what not to do. And that's what it became. It became basically therapy for me. People were learning from my bad mistakes. I was like Kanish. You never see the movie Rounders? Mike, I'm giving you my playbook for my bad beats. I trade to win. I trade to eat, right?
That's how it is. That's how it is. You gotta find what works, man. And
Right.
sometimes it's not necessarily focus on the right. Sometimes it's the wrong. We
Yeah.
focus so much on what's right or what's the right thing to do. Sometimes we need to just focus on what's the wrong thing. Let me not do that. And
Yeah.
then I can find the right thing. Well, like you said, one or two things can make a big difference if you can just knock out the bad.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's kind of like golf. I don't know if you played golf, but you know, I was always an athlete. I could play sports. I was, a champion racquetball and paddleball player. Could play softball. I figured, all right, golf, I could do this. I'm swinging the club and, I'm hitting one or two good shots. And then, for my birthday a couple of years ago, I got a lesson. My wife got me a lesson. So I'd go there. The guy's looking at me, shaking his head the whole time. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, you're holding the club wrong. You're standing wrong. Your head's in the wrong place. So he said, he's like, now I got to unteach you all your dumb habits for you to learn how to do it right. And it's the same thing. So you develop these bad habits, you have to unlearn that stuff. So that's why for me, I'm a pretty good educator because I stick to one thing that works and really just, again, from my experiences, I spend a lot of time telling people what doesn't work. And I know if you're out there listening to this interview, trading options before earnings reports is dumb. It's dumb. You're paying up for those options and you're guessing what the stock's going to do. You're a two-time loser before the trade even starts. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Hey, Kenny trying to save some traders out here. All right, guys. So this next question, I think, is really going to be one that everybody is interested. There's a million indicators nowadays. You'll see it with new traders that come on, or even investors that come out with new indicators, go and
Oh
no
yeah.
go indicators.
Oh yeah.
You see plenty of them, and they're the most complicated thing. So, which one do you think still has some kind of edge out there in the market?
You're setting me up for this one, huh? This is an easy one. It's VWAP, baby. VWAP, volume weighted average price. Like I was getting to that point a little while ago when I came back after one of my spirit walks. Zach Hurwitz, who was getting his education from Brian Shannon. Brian Shannon being the overlord of VWAP. Zach would be the emperor. I am just Darth Vader of VWAP right now, and I don't mind being the Darth Vader of VWAP. But what the chat room did bring to me was a guy who watched me trade. This is Zach, and he told me, he's like, you're trading around VWAP levels, almost savant-like in a way, heavy on the idiot savant part of that. But he told me to keep an eye on VWAP, and then he told me about multiple periodicity VWAP, and I was like, first of all, why would I care about where VWAP is for the day? It's just an indicator at the end of the day. And who the hell cares what VWAP was 3 days ago? So he said, do me a favor, put it on your charts and trade how you normally trade, and you'll start to see you're right there with the VWAP and multiple time frame VWAPs. So for 6 months, 8 months, almost a year, I sat there and I started looking at it and I was like, wow, this is actually amazing. So the trade that I've been doing my whole life has been a gap fade on an earnings report. So if the stock's gapped up on earnings, usually you're going to get some profit taking. We call it the fade. And that trade's been working since I've ever started trading. And gap down earnings, like your PayPal yesterday or 2 days ago, great buying opportunity on that gap. And then it fills the gap and you get a 10 or 15 point move. So what VWAP was showing me was that the VWAP was either being violated or getting broken or holding prior to the trade that I would normally take. So if I'm ready to short something on the fade, let's say at 35 bucks, VWAP's getting me in at 35.50. And it's also telling me that I'm on the right side because basically VWAP to me is the EKG of the market. It's telling you strength or weakness. So below the VWAP, you're sellers. Above the VWAP, you still got strength. So the gap fade was already a trade that's been working for me. Now I've got VWAP telling me, yeah, you're right, buddy. And I'm going to give you a heads up on a trade that you already like. Whoa, thanks. So That's all I do now. I'm a gap reversion earnings trader. And that's why now when I hear people are buying options before earnings reports, I'm like, why don't you just give me half your money? I'll kick you in the nuts and we'll call it even because you're out of your mind. Because the next day I'll be buying the same option that you paid 120% more than I'm going to be paying, and I'm going to make the money that you should be making if you just would have waited for the premium to come out of the contract. But you wanted to gamble the night before. I'll show you how you don't have to do it. And that's basically the trade I've been doing. And it's really just that's why earnings season is this is like Candyland for me. It's phenomenal.
The bread and butter, the bread and butter. You got to
Oh,
stick to it, and
oh
and
yeah,
and and when you find it, that's the one that you want to go always go back to, and it'll
yeah.
definitely be reliable for you. All right, guys. So this next question I have here is really about the market environment that we're going through now. How has the new market environment really changed kind of the way you trade?
It hasn't at all. That's what's great. As long as there's volume, as long as there's companies reporting earnings, VWAP's going to work really well. So the trade that I've been doing for 22 years, if anything, it's gotten better because now we have more stocks to choose from. We're having some crazy breakouts, and because of the zero interest rates environment that we're in, people are consistently looking for new ideas. So when I look for some stocks that I want to, obviously you got your IPOs that are all ripping. You just buy them when they break new highs. But what I like finding stocks that have been forgotten, that are coming back out of the doldrums.
Hmm.
So because people are looking for new ideas, if you look at AMD was dead for 4 or 5 years. So when it came out of the doldrums, next thing this thing's going. Again, I'm not saying I held it this whole time, but the funny thing is that when I was in AMD coming out of this bottoming, 4-year base, there was Goldman Sachs downgrading it. It broke 5, they said it's going to 2. It breaks 7, they say it's going back to 5. The stock finally gets over 10. He's reiterating his sell with a $7 target. I mean, it just proves that nobody knows anything. Here you got Goldman Sachs, who, some people respect them. It is what it is, whether or not you like them or not like them. They are a powerhouse in the industry. And here you've got some moron, idiot, ridiculous psychopath with, I'm sure he's got an MBA, I'm sure he's got certificates on the wall to prove how smart he is, downgrading a stock that's been sitting around for 5 years, coming out of a massive base, and this guy's saying sell it. To me, it was a little shady because I'm pretty sure they had a client that was probably short and they needed to get him out, and he probably paid them off. Hey, do me a favor. Can you downgrade AMD for a couple of months so I can get out of my short position? Here's a couple of 100,000. That's how upgrades and downgrades work for me. Because listen, I was a market maker for a while, and I remember it was Morgan Stanley, and they put a buy recommendation on whatever it was, XYZ. And you saw the mark, you saw your level 2. Morgan Stanley sitting there on the offer all day, selling into the strength that they created on the upgrade. So I'm a jerk. I call him up. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm a market maker over at Hammerstein. Blah blah blah. Yeah, can I talk to the Morgan Stanley market maker? I got a question. I actually got the guy on the phone. I'm like, so what's the story here? You put a buy recommendation with a 300% target. You're telling us that the stock's going to go from 17 bucks. You got a $40 target on this thing, and you're on the offer all day. But wait, before you answer the question, I know what you're going to say. You've got a client that's taking advantage of this day to get out of some of your stock, right? He's like, well, that's exactly right, sir. I'm like, yeah, sure it is. Sure it is. How about you upgraded the stock to cushion the blow so you could get your client out of it, and you really don't think the stock's going to 30? And he hung up on me. It's all manipulation.
Yeah.
Upgrades and downgrades are the most blatant form of manipulation that this market. It's amazing they get away with it.
Yeah, you gotta sometimes get away from the noise. Find like you say it well. Find what works for you. stick to that. Sometimes that outside noise is just there for what it is. It's
I
noise.
bet you I pissed off somebody with an MBA just now, right? Oh, your degree. Oh, your degree's so important.
Don't worry, I think they're still paying it, so.
That's right. Yeah.
All
So
right.
happy you went to college for this. Oh, yeah, did you?
And my last question here of the night, and I think it's one of the most important. If you could go back into day one of your trading, what would you focus your energy on so that you can go ahead and be successful?
I would tell myself that just like we've been talking about, stay focused. You got something that's working, stick with it, and let everything else branch out of that success. You want to own stocks, do it with the profits from the trades that work really well. For instance, I love this PLTR, this IPO. I've been waiting 3 years to buy it. The first day I bought it, it's tanking on me. The IPO was terrible, right? And, I learned my lesson that day because don't load up on an IPO the first day. If you want to buy something, piece into it. But what happened is a couple of weeks later, I had a day trade in PLTR at around 985 and it went really well. So then I decided to hold on to it. Fast forward to where we are today at 14 bucks. It's a whole bit different thing. So that first day I was like, I'm going to load up on this because I love it so much. I'm going to buy it. And it was terrible, right? But when it became a day trade into the swing / investment, then it was a success. So I'd go back and tell myself, listen, buddy, keep yourself in check. Don't gamble on options. They're not meant to be gambled into earnings reports because there are so many people that do that. I would remind myself that again and again. And on a day like this, trade those same contracts. On a day like today, we had plays. I'm not saying I made the whole money because I sell into the move while it's working, but we had some plays that were 50 times their money by the end of the day. Nobody hangs on from the beginning to the end, but you sell into the move. But what I would go back and I would make sure, and I would also tell myself that, shave my head a lot sooner too, because bald is beautiful, baby.
Hey, hey, looking shiny, baby. Hey, what can I say? Definitely, your journey has been not only a success, but you can definitely tell that, hey, just like every journey, you're not only going to go straight up, there's going to be bumps in the road, and it's really all about how you can focus and get through the bumps in the road. I really liked how you took those, what was it, what we call them?
Spirit walks?
The spirit walks,
Yeah.
baby. I think I might need one of those eventually. I've been
Yeah.
on those moments, and it
It's
happens
healthy.
as a trader.
It's healthy for you. I
Yep.
also enjoy Calgon bats with some candles going.
Yeah.
Get yourself one of these. You gotta get a Zen bowl.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Hey.
There's something about these bowls, man. You might think it's cheesy, but you light a candle, you put some gentle music on. It really does work. And after all the noise and all this, this stress and all this craziness, meditation is a real thing, my friends. Just take that moment, even if it's 20 minutes, to go lay down, go get somewhere dark, and put some gentle, soothing music on. I really am telling you, ease your mind.
Yep.
Ease your mind because
100%.
what we're doing is it'll tear you apart if you don't take those moments to yourself and just try to block it out. Because I talk and I trade all day. I'll be sitting there 2 hours later and I'll still think I'm actually having a conversation with somebody. My mind never stops going. And that's why it's hard to sleep. Because as soon as we wake up as traders, we're like, all right, I got 1,000 things I need to do. And you're on, and then you're on. Especially if somebody like me who talks all day. So you got to take those moments to quiet your mind.
Yep, I couldn't say it better, Kenny Glick here. The Warlock, the Prophet of Profit, and I can definitely say that, yes, sometimes we need to turn off the mind. Working so hard and focusing on so many tickers to tickers, especially you guys that trade your 1 minute charts. So definitely learn how to just take a pause. Just and then enjoy your life and enjoy what you do every single day. And that's why I still day trade, and I'm pretty sure that's why you do it too, Kenny. And
Yeah.
thank you for taking the time and sharing your journey with us. Like always, traders, definitely hit the like and the subscribe down below. If you guys want to see Kenny and more of Kenny, it'll be in the description below how you guys can go ahead and see him trade every single day. All right, guys, like always, guys, this is going to be it for me. Like Mitch, hit the like, hit the subscribe down below, and the trading journey. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, man. Good times.